Here's the scene. Your buyers just got their inspection report back. They're calling you at 9 p.m. Found a crack in the garage floor. The water heater is 8 years old and there's a loose outlet cover in the guest room. And they want the seller to fix everything and replace the roof because the inspector said it has 5 to 7 years, not 10. They're ready to ask for $40,000 in repairs on a $450,000 house. And you're thinking, how do I tell them they're about to torpedo their own deal? I'm Emily Shelton with Shelton Property Group, and today we're talking about how to navigate difficult home inspections from the buyer's agent side and how to guide your clients to smart decisions instead of emotional reaction. Here's what I need you to understand. There are no real estate emergencies. I know your buyers are freaking out. They're convinced they're buying a disaster, but here's the reality. Most of what feels urgent right now will benefit greatly from a clear head, some time to assess the situation, and a thoughtful strategy instead of a panic response. Your job as the buyer's agent isn't to fan the flames of their own fear. It's to be a voice of reason that helps them distinguish between real problems and normal home ownership. Yes, we're in a buyer's market in Austin. Yes, your buyers have leverage, but unreasonable requests don't make you a tough negotiator. They make you look inexperienced, and they can absolutely kill a deal. Agents who navigate inspections successfully are the ones who educate their buyers, manage emotions, and negotiate strategically. Let me show you how. The best way to handle a difficult inspection is to prevent it from becoming difficult in the first place. Set expectations. During the showing, I'm setting expectations from the very first showing. When we're touring homes, I'm saying things like, this HVAC system looks original to the home. That means it's about 12 years old. Based on the inspection, we should expect that it's nearing the end of its lifespan. So we'll need to factor that into our negotiations. See that drywall crack? That's pretty typical for homes in Central Texas. We'll want an inspector to evaluate it, but hairline cracks are usually not structural. I'm not trying to scare them off. I'm educating them so that when the inspection report comes back, nothing is a complete shock. Strategy number 2, help them choose the right inspector. Not all inspectors are created equal. Some are incredibly thorough and balanced. Others are alarmists who make everything sound like a catastrophe. I give buyers a list of inspectors I trust, people who are detailed but fair, who explain context, not just problems. Because here's the thing, an alarmist inspector doesn't protect your buyer. They create unnecessary fear and can kill a deal over normal wear and tear. Strategy number 3, frame the inspection purpose before we even schedule the inspection. I tell my buyers, the purpose of the inspection is to discover any major safety concerns, structural deficiencies, or issues that we don't know about, and give you information to make an informed decision. This is not to get a perfect home. There is no such thing as a perfect house, not even in new construction. Setting that expectation up front changes everything. Scenario 1, unreasonable buyer requests. Let me tell you about a buyer I presented last year who almost lost their dream home. They loved this house. Made an offer the same day we saw it. They were already picking out the kids' bedrooms and planning Thanksgiving dinner. Then the inspection report comes back and it was 52 pages long and they highlighted everything. They wanted all the outlet covers replaced because 2 were cracked. The fence repaired in 3 spots. The water heater replaced because it was 7 years old, even though it was functioning fine. A $5,000 credit for deferred maintenance and another $15,000 for minor cosmetic items. A total ask of $38,000. I had to have a really direct conversation with them. I said, you need to hear me on this. If we send this request to the seller, we are going to lose this house. Not because the seller is unreasonable, but because we are being unreasonable. I walked them through each item. Cracked outlet covers cost $2 at Home Depot. Do you really want to risk your dream home over $4? The water heater is functioning. It has years of life left. Asking them to replace it now is like asking them to replace a car that runs fine because it has 60,000 miles. That doesn't make sense. Then I gave them the framework. Let's separate these items into 3 categories. Safety issues, things that could hurt someone. Major system things that cost thousands to replace and aren't functioning. And nice to have things that are cosmetic and minor. We negotiate hard on categories 1 and 2. We let category 3 go. We ended up asking for a $3,500 credit towards the fence repair and a future water heater replacement, and the roof to be tuned up prior to closing. The seller agreed immediately. My buyers got their dream home and thanked me for talking them off the ledge. That's what good representation looks like. Protecting your buyers from themselves when emotions are running high. Scenario number 2, major issues are discovered. Now let's talk about when the inspection actually uncovers something major. I had buyers last fall who were under contract inspect on a house in their budget. The inspection came back with foundation concerns, significant cracking, evidence of excessive settling, and the recommendation for a structural engineer evaluation. Their immediate reaction was, we need to walk. This is a money pit. I said, let's not make a decision based on fear. Let's get the information. Many homes in this part of town have had or will have foundation repairs. Let's get a professional in to give us their suggestions. We brought in a structural engineer. It cost them $500, but it was worth every penny. The engineer's report showed that yes, there had been some foundation movement, typical for Central Texas soil, but it had been stabilized. The repairs were done correctly years ago, and there was no evidence of ongoing issues. His recommendations: monitor it annually, but it's not a deal breaker. Armed with that information, we negotiated a $6,000 credit for foundation monitoring and any minor future repairs, plus the seller to provide documentation of the previous foundation work. My buyers moved forward, got a great house at a fair price, and they monitor the foundation annually as recommended. No issues in over a year. Here's what I always tell my buyers when major issues come up. We have 3 options: walk away and find another home, negotiate for repairs or credits, or accept it as is if the price already reflects the condition. Let's gather information from specialists, understand true scope and costs, and then make a decision based on facts, not fear. Information eliminates fear. Always get the experts involved for major issues. Scenario number 3, managing buyer emotions. Here's the real challenge with inspections. You're not managing a transaction, you're managing fear, anxiety, and often buyer's remorse. The inspection report comes back and suddenly your buyers are second guessing everything. They're reading forums at 2 a.m. about mold issues. They're calling their uncle who's handy and telling them to run. They're spiraling. I had first-time buyers last spring who were so overwhelmed by their inspection report that they were ready to walk, not because of any one major issue, but because of the sheer volume of items. I said, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to translate this report. I went through it line by line and created a simple summary. By the way, this is something a good inspector should do for you, but you should also know how to read it and understand it. Red items need immediate attention. There were 2 on their report. Yellow, plan this for the next 1 to 3 years. There were 5 items. Green, normal maintenance, cosmetic, or informational. There were 43 of these items. When they saw it this way, they could breathe again. They weren't dealing with 50 problems. They were dealing with 2 things that needed to be addressed and some routine maintenance items. The key to managing buyers' emotions is simplify the information. Don't let them drown in a 50-page report. Provide context. Yes, the HVAC is 12 years old, but the average lifespan is 15 to 20 years if it's maintained properly. Normalize the experience. Saying every house has an inspection report and every house has items, this is actually pretty typical. Give them control. Say, here are your options. What feels right to you? And here's something critical. Sometimes you have to give them permission to walk. And sometimes you need to advise them to walk, even when it's hard for you. Let me be completely honest with you. There are deals that are worth backing out over. And as agents, your job is to speak reason into your clients when they're being emotional, but it's also your job to advise them to walk away when there are unexpected major concerns that change the entire picture. If the inspection reveals something that fundamentally changes the risk profile of that property and your buyers aren't equipped to handle it, you tell them the truth. You say, based on what we've discovered, I don't think this house is right for you. And here's why. We are compensated well in this industry. And it can be hard to walk away from a deal, but we are paid to give professional advice that serves our clients' best interests, not our bank accounts. You know what happens when you advise a client to walk away from a bad deal? They trust you even more. They refer you to everyone they know because they know you'll tell them the truth even when it costs you money. I've had buyers where the inspection revealed issues and I could tell they just weren't going to be happy in that house. I said, listen, if this doesn't feel right, it's okay to walk away. We'll find you another house. And I've had buyers where I've said, I think you need to walk. And here's why this is a bigger risk than you're prepared for. Taking the pressure off can actually help them think clearly. And sometimes they realize the issues aren't that bad after all. But sometimes walking away is the right answer. And you need to be brave enough to say it. Yes, we're in a buyer's market in Austin, Texas. Your buyers have leverage. Sellers, they need to be reasonable. But here's what inexperienced agents get wrong. They think a buyer's market means you can demand anything you want. And they think that's how it works. Even in a buyer's market, sellers have limits. And if your buyer comes in with an unreasonable list, the seller will be less likely to take them serious on things that actually matter. The smart play in a buyer's market is to negotiate strategically. Focus on the items that truly matter. Be reasonable about cosmetic stuff and for what's fair, not what's possible. Because here's the thing, markets shift. This buyer's market won't last forever. And when it shifts to a balanced or even a seller's market, your buyers won't have this kind of leverage anymore. So use it wisely while you have it. At the end of the day, your job isn't to win the inspection negotiation. Your job is to help your buyers make an informed, confident decision about whether this house is right for them. Sometimes that means negotiating hard for major repairs. Sometimes that means talking them out of unreasonable requests. And sometimes that means helping them walk away when the issues are truly deal breakers. But it always means managing emotion, providing context, and focusing on what actually matters. Remember, there are no real estate emergencies. Take a breath, get the facts, and guide your buyers to smart decisions. If you're struggling with inspection negotiations, or if any part of representing buyers feels overwhelming right now, I want to offer to help. I'm offering a 20-minute strategy call where we'll look at what's holding you back and we'll create a clear plan to move forward. The link to my calendar is in the description. And if this was valuable to you, subscribe and comment, or even share it with a friend. What's the wildest inspection request you've ever received? I want to hear your stories. Inspection reports are part of the process, not a crisis. The right approach are just another step forward, getting your buyers into the right home. I'm Emily Shelton with Shelton Property Group, Faith Family Real Estate.